Cold gray clouds stretched across the Michigan sky like a heavy blanket that morning, pressing the world into silence. Frost clung to the edges of the tall glass windows of Harrington Hall, the prestigious mathematics research center at Northcrest University, a university known as an academic fortress reserved for the brightest minds in the country. Inside, the world buzzed with quiet tension. Students shuffled into lecture room A210, the infamous arena where the university's toughest advanced mathematics sessions were held. The air throbbed with anxiety, notebooks and laptops ready, pencils sharpened, whispers hanging in the air. Everyone knew today wouldn't be a normal class. Today was evaluation day. On this day every semester, elite faculty from across the university attended the lecture, not to learn, but to judge the professor and the students. A performance ritual rooted in tradition, a spectacle, a hunt, a chance for egos to sharpen their claws. At Northcrest, they said iron sharpened iron, but too often, iron crushed those who weren't born forged in flame. And in the third row, seat 6, sat Elliot Carter, the boy many assumed did not belong. A black freshman from a modest Detroit neighborhood, wearing a faded gray hoodie and old sneakers that had seen more city pavement than this polished marble campus. He sat quietly, posture humble, hands loosely resting on a battered notebook covered in handwritten symbols, graphs and formulas. To some, humility looked like weakness. To others, silence looked like ignorance. To Elliot, it was focus. He wasn't here to be seen. He was here to learn, to conquer, to build the future he dreamed of, even if the system whispered he never should have made it here. 2 seats away, a group of students eyed him with thinly masked smirks. "There he is," one whispered. A blond boy with expensive glasses and a proud chin. "The scholarship miracle." A soft chuckle followed. "Miracle? More like quota." "Yeah," another murmured. "Let's see how long that charity lasts." Elliot heard every word. He always did. Years of growing up in neighborhoods where you learned to read tone and tension like a second language had sharpened his senses. But he didn't look up. He didn't respond. Because Elliot knew something they didn't. Numbers didn't care who you were, equations didn't lie. And truth, when wielded correctly, silenced ignorance better than anger ever could. The storm enters, a sudden hush fell over the room. The sound echoed first. A sharp, rhythmic tap of high heels striking polished tile. Then the door opened. Professor Helena Graves entered, tall, severe silver hair perfectly pinned, charcoal coat flowing like authority-made fabric. Her presence sliced through noise like a scalpel. She did not glare. She did not speak harshly. She didn't need to. When a person is truly powerful, their silence frightens more than shouting ever could. Behind her walked 3 figures: Dr. Whitfield, a senior mathematics theorist known for brilliance and arrogance sharpened by years of being unchallenged; Dean Avery, who controlled scholarships like fate, deciding who stayed and who vanished; Professor Langford, rumored to believe only the old way of academia was pure, where exclusivity wasn't bias, but tradition. They took the front row seats like judges at a gladiator arena. Professor Graves placed her notes on the podium. Her voice came out cool, clipped, efficient. "Today we move beyond Laplace transforms and into nonlinear dynamic systems." A few students swallowed hard. "Some of you will follow. Most of you will not. Excellence is not a standard. It is elimination." A ripple of discomfort spread. She began writing dense equations with graceful precision, chalk slicing the board like ice on steel. Symbols danced. Lines formed. Complex expressions layered upon one another in elegant cruelty. Within minutes, several students were lost. Their eyes darted, hands shaking, trying to keep up. Fear built like static. Elliot's notebook remained still. Not because he didn't understand, but because he saw the pattern before she finished writing. His mind moved with the rhythm of logic, flowing through steps she unfolded. He leaned slightly forward, absorbing. Until he froze. A tiny inconsistency. Barely there. A misplaced negative sign in a crucial integral setup. Invisible to casual eyes. Fatal to the solution. A mistake. Professor Graves never made mistakes. The class copied furiously. Several whispered in confusion. Whitfield's eyebrows lifted, sensing something odd. Elliot's heartbeat thudded once against his ribs. Say nothing. Keep quiet? Avoid attention? He had done that his whole life. And where had silence left him? Watching mediocre assumptions define him. Not today. He raised his hand, a simple movement, but it shifted the room's entire gravity. Heads turned. Some rolled their eyes. Some smirked, whispering, "Here it comes. He's going to embarrass himself." Professor Graves stopped mid-stroke and turned slowly, eyes narrowing. "Yes, Professor," Elliot said calmly. "There's a sign error in the boundary transformation." "Line 3, gasps fluttered. Several students blinked, a freshman, correcting Helena Graves. Dr. Whitfield smirked like a man watching a lamb volunteer for slaughter. Dean Avery leaned forward. "Professor?" Graves stared at Elliot, not angry, evaluating. "Explain," she said simply. Elliot stood. Respect, confident. The morning after the evaluation lecture felt different. Campus looked the same. Frost-kissed lawns, tall clock tower chiming through crisp winter air, students clutching coffee as they rushed to 8 a.m. classes. But something in the atmosphere around Elliot had shifted. People stared longer now, some with curiosity, some with new respect, some with thinly disguised resentment, the kind only success exposes. Elliot ignored it all. He kept walking, headphones in, mind already dancing through differential equations. Music wasn't playing, he couldn't afford distractions, but the headphones bought him silence. Silence was power. But as he approached the mathematics building, he noticed whispers clustering in corners like fog. That freshman, the one who corrected her, Professor Graves, actually nodded at him. Crazy? Never seen anything like it. Pride flickered in his chest, small, careful, controlled. He didn't come here for applause. He came here to build a life no one could strip from him. Still, recognition felt new, strange, dangerous. Because recognition didn't always bring applause. Sometimes it brought arrows. The invitation inside the lobby of the Mathematics Research Center, a student ambassador wearing a maroon blazer stepped in front of him. "You're Elliot Carter, right?" Elliot stopped. "Yes. You've been invited to the Advanced Undergraduate Research Colloquium." She handed him an embossed cream envelope with gold seal. Most students never even heard of that program. Those who did never expected freshmen there. "Meeting is today at 4 p.m., she continued. "Professor Graves requested your presence. Requested. Not suggested." The ambassador leaned in slightly. "Congratulations. No one gets invited this early." She walked off before he could respond. Elliot stared at the envelope, doors opening, but with every open door came eyes. Watching, judging, plotting. He tucked the envelope inside his notebook and headed upstairs. Professor Whitfield's office. He didn't get far before hearing his name again. This time in a tone dipped in arrogance and irritation. "Carter?" Elliot turned. Dr. Whitfield stood at his office door. Hands clasped behind his back, posture like a general who believed he commanded fate itself. "Join me." Not a request. Inside, Whitfield shut the door with a slow, chilling finality, like sealing a vault. "I have seen students like you before," he began, voice smooth but cold. "Brilliant, raw, eager, and convinced they have something to prove." Elliot stood straight. "I only want to learn, sir." Whitfield's smile tightened. Sharp edges, no warmth. "There are two kinds of mathematicians, those who are shaped by the discipline, and those who believe talent alone makes them untouchable." He circled Elliot slowly, like studying an artifact. "You made an impression yesterday, but impressions fade. Academia isn't impressed by momentary sparks, only lasting light." Elliot kept still. "Understood." Whitfield stepped closer, eyes hardening. "Do not mistake applause for acceptance. Some will cheer you." He paused. "Others will wait for you to fall." Elliot spoke softly. "I don't plan on falling." Whitfield's gaze sharpened. "Everyone falls." Then his voice dropped further, lower, colder, almost a whisper of threat. "Ask yourself if you belong here because of merit, or because certain people want to appear progressive." The air thickened. There it was, the quiet poison, the doubt disguised as advice. Elliot looked him directly in the eye. Calm, steady. "I belong here because I earned it." Whitfield's jaw flexed, irritation shattering his polished veneer for 1 second. Then he smiled. Too smooth, Too polite, we shall see. He turned away, dismissed. Elliot walked out, pulse steady, not shaken, only clearer. Some people didn't fear failure. They feared someone like him succeeding. The mentor, he never. Expected 4 p.m. Conference Room C214. Advanced Undergraduate Research Colloquium. The room was smaller than he expected, not an auditorium, but a round table space with sleek white boards and soft glowing smart screens. 5 students sat already. Polished, wealthy, elite. Legacy kids. Olympiad medalists. Sons and daughters of tech CEOs and research chairs. They paused mid-conversation as Elliot entered. He heard it again, the flicker of disbelief hidden behind neutral expressions. Him? Here? Before the tension could thicken, Professor Graves entered. Everyone straightened unconsciously. She took her seat at the head. "This program is for the intellectually restless," she began. "Those who do not wait for understanding, they chase it, bite into it, break it open." Eyes swept the room. "This year, I have selected 6 students." She looked directly at Elliot. 5 expected. Then, a pause, intentional, cutting through hierarchy like wire, and one who demanded attention. A rustle, a few jaws tightened, Elliot's spine straightened. Graves continued. "You will work in pairs to develop original proofs, research proposals, and computational models. You will be judged against graduate-level scholarship." Snow floated softly over North Crest's ancient stone courtyard the next morning, but inside campus walls the air was sharp with whispers. Everyone knew Elliot's name now, not because of scandal, not because of privilege, because he stood his ground in a room built to break him. Some admired him. Some envied him. Some feared what he represented. Change. Elliot walked through the halls with quiet focus, hoodie up, notebook in hand, as if he couldn't feel the eyes following him. For years, silence had been his shield. Now it felt like spotlight. He didn't ask for attention. He earned it. And attention came uninvited. The confrontation as he approached the lecture hall, Jason Mercer appeared again. This time with 3 legacy students flanking him, smiles sharp. Intent colder than the snow. "Well, well," Jason whispered. "The campus superstar." Elliot kept walking. Jason blocked him. "One correction in class and you think you belong at our level?" Elliot looked him straight in the eyes. "I'm calm, grounded. I don't think. I work." Jason's expression curdled. "You're a guest here. Remember that," Elliot replied quietly. "If I were a guest, I wouldn't be doing the work you avoid." Gasps. Frozen egos. Jason's jaw clenched. Right then, heels clicked on the marble floor. "Professor Graves." "Move," she said softly. They scattered instantly. She didn't look at Jason again. Just placed a hand on Elliot's folder and whispered, "Let your work speak. It's louder than they are." He nodded. He wasn't angry. He wasn't shaken. He was sharpening research lab. Alliance strengthens that afternoon in the research room. Jasmine scrolled through data on her laptop. "Your modification tightened our climate failure model," she said. "No," Elliot replied. "Ours." She stared at him, then smiled. "You're not trying to outshine anyone," she whispered. "You just want to build. That's how I survive." He didn't say hardship taught him math. He didn't need to. Jasmine saw it in him, grit disguised as calm. "People like Jason," she murmured. "They break when pushed. You get sharper." Elliot didn't respond. He just kept solving, because talking didn't build futures. Work did. The accusation that night, an email pinged. Academic integrity review notice, anonymous complaint, accusing him of cheating. Elliot's heartbeat slowed. Not fear. Recognition. When you rise, someone pulls threads to see if you unravel. He shut the laptop. Tomorrow would not be a fight. It would be a lesson. For them. Hearing room. Proving truth. White walls. Cold chair. Fluorescent lights humming like accusations. Dean Avery. 2 committee members. Professor Graves. The storm in calm clothing. "Mr. Carter," the dean said, "your performance has raised questions of authenticity." Elliot folded his hands. Voice steady. "I didn't cheat. Everyone says that." "Then let me show you what they can't." He stood. "Give me a board." Avery blinked. "Excuse me?" "Give me a problem." "Any problem." Tension thickened. They wrote a graduate-level nonlinear chaos proof. He completed it smoothly. They gave another. He solved it. Third, fourth. Marker tapped the board like heartbeat, precise, patient, unstoppable. Silence crushed prejudice. Dean Avery swallowed hard. Case dismissed. Graves looked proud, a warrior hiding behind scholar's poise. "Remember," Elliot said quietly. Turning to them, "Accusations need evidence. Arrogance is not proof." He walked out. They didn't stop him. They couldn't. The challenge board outside the lecture hall. A crowd hovered around a towering chalkboard. Whitfield's infamous challenge problem. Rumored unsolved. Words across the top. "Solve it if you belong here." Challenge? Gatekeeping? Didn't matter. Elliot stepped forward. Jasmine whispered, "You don't have to." "I'm not solving it for them," he said. "I'm solving it for me." Chalk lifted, lines formed. Crisp, elegant, fearless. Students watched. Breath held. 5 minutes, one final stroke, silence. Someone whispered, trembling, "He solved it." Professor Whitfield emerged from the shadows, face stiff, pride bleeding. "This board was not for you." Elliot didn't flinch. "Knowledge is not a lock," he said softly. "It's a key, and anyone who finds it can open doors," and he walked away. A storm didn't announce itself, it simply moved. And the world felt it. Snow swept across the stone arches of Northcrest University like white silk. The winter storm warning flashed across campus screens, but inside the mathematics building, something colder brewed, the kind of cold that didn't come from weather, but from envy sharpening itself in silence. Elliot didn't walk the halls like a celebrity. He walked like someone who remembered where he came from. Detroit floors cracked and loud, buses shaking in winter mornings. Neighborhoods where brilliance was a secret you protected, not something you displayed. But at Northcrest, secrets didn't stay small. When genius surfaced here, people either clapped or loaded their arrows, and today arrows were ready. Rumors in Whitehall's it started quietly, murmurs between polished shoes and whispered academic slang. He solved Whitfield's board. Maybe Graves favors him. No freshman belongs in Fields and Graves' circle. The same crowd that 1 week ago dismissed Elliot as a nobody now twisted reasons to hate his success. Because people rarely resent failure. What they resent is talent they cannot claim. Elliot felt the shift, the narrow glances, the polite half-smiles that didn't touch eyes, but he'd lived through worse. Respect earned slowly lasted longer than applause thrown quickly. He kept walking. Notebook. Hood up, silence as his shield. Sabotage in the shadows. The blow came quietly. Jasmine rushed into their research room, laptop hugged to her chest, breath sharp. "Something's wrong." "What happened?" "The model folder. It's gone. Every file. Every iteration." Elliot blinked. "Backups? Corrupted. All of them. Even the off-site mirror. Someone hadn't tried to delete their research. Someone tried to erase its existence." Jasmine whispered, voice trembling with fury. "Someone doesn't just want us to fail. They want proof we ever succeeded erased." Elliot closed his eyes, slowly inhaling through his nose. Detroit had taught him something academia never would. People break your work only when they're afraid of your potential. "Then we rebuild," he said. Jasmine stared at him. "You're not even angry." "Oh, I'm furious," he replied softly. "I just don't waste rage on delays. Only on injustice." She swallowed hard. "Let's rebuild." Midnight re-rise hours turned into night. Night into dawn. Blackboards filled with elegant spectra and iron-clean logic. Arrow strokes flowing like a language only they understood. Their fingers shook from coffee and cold, but understanding grew sharper with each scribbled symbol. Jasmine finally leaned back, exhausted and stunned. It's better. Elliot wiped chalk dust from his hands. Destruction forces clarity. You know what most people would do after losing months of work? Quit. And you? I recalculate. She smiled tightly. You don't chase victory, Elliot. You chase mastery. He didn't answer. Because mastery, where he came from, wasn't ambition. It was survival. The notice. The next morning, Elliot received an email. Mandatory colloquium presentation. Tomorrow, curated by Professor Whitfield. Not an invitation. A challenge. A battlefield disguised as an academic session. Jason Mercer leaned against the hallway rail when Elliot exited the lab. Hands buried in his coat, winter breath cloudy. You ready to fall? Jason asked quietly. Elliot didn't even look at him. Fall? He murmured. I just learned to fly. Jason flinched because arrogance wasn't what he heard. He heard certainty. Day of the colloquium. The auditorium overflowed. Shoulders squeezed. Phone secretly recording. Faculty in back rows pretending to be bored but hungry to witness blood. Fear of humiliation haunted many students. But for Elliot, humiliation wasn't abstract. He'd seen real hard life. Academic embarrassment felt trivial next to real-world struggle. Whitfield approached the board, marking 5 advanced problems. Mathematics, he announced, reveals truth. Let us see who deals in it and who pretends. He didn't look at Elliot. He didn't need to. Everyone already did. Elliot stepped forward. Soft gasps rippled. Jasmine touched his arm. Whispering, You don't need to prove anything, he gently pulled away. I'm not proving for them. I'm proving for the kid still studying. Under a dim streetlight somewhere who thinks the world already decided his limit. Then he picked the hardest problem, not because ego, but because underdogs don't get to choose easier. Battles, chalk and silence. The room fell silent except for chalk gliding. Elliot didn't attack the equation. He listened to it. Patterns whispered, structures emerged. Chaos met discipline. His mind danced across variables like his life depended on it, because in a way, it did. At minute 7, he placed the chalk down. Answer, stillness. 2 seconds. 3. Breathless. Jasmine whispered. He solved it. Through a parameter shift. No one ever uses that approach. Even Graves inhaled sharply. Whitfield cleared his throat, masking shock. Where did you learn that? Here, Elliot answered. Right now. From the problem. Whitfield's eyes hardened. And the files you rebuilt last night? Snow had finally settled like quiet applause across North Crest University. For the first time all winter, sunlight warmed the stone arches, melting edges of ice and revealing a campus waking into a new season. Not spring yet. But something hopeful. Today wasn't a regular academic day. It was the Winter Research Symposium, and Elliot and Jasmine would present the system that saved half the campus from freezing. They had built it twice, once with excitement and once with fire pressure, and sabotage sharpening their resolve. Those who break and rebuild become stronger than those who never cracked. The Hall of Eyes, the grand auditorium buzzed. Professors, officials, graduate students, and a curious group of high school visitors from Detroit. That group mattered most to Elliot. He saw his past self in their wide eyes. Somewhere here, someone else with brilliance and fear and fire sat wondering if they belonged in rooms like this. Today, he wanted the answer to echo. Yes, Jasmine whispered at his side. You nervous? No, Elliot said honestly. I'm ready. Dr. Field smiled warmly from the first row. Professor Graves nodded once. The nod of a general satisfied her soldier had sharpened well. Dean Avery sat with polite interest. Whitfield was there too, posture straight, expression unreadable. Ego braced like a fortress expecting siege. Jason Mercer sat in the back row, no arrogance, just humility and an unspoken apology hanging around him. The stage lights warmed Elliot's face. This wasn't about revenge, prestige, or applause. It was about truth proving itself. Proof in the open. Jasmine opened. Our research began with a question. What if instability isn't noise but information? We built a model that treats drift as guidance, not error. Elliot continued. Our algorithm didn't predict disaster from perfection. It prevented disaster through imperfection. Real systems breathe. So should math. Graphs glowed behind them. Real data, real time. We rebuilt after our work was wiped, Jasmine said calmly. The second time, we built stronger, students murmured. Not gossip, admiration. Elliot finished the summary, but Whitfield rose before applause could start. A demonstration, he said. Concepts are elegant. Execution is truth. He wrote a fresh challenge on the board. A trap problem. Complex, deliberate, structured to expose panic. Elliot didn't panic. He breathed, saw the pattern, and moved the chalk. Slow, controlled, beautiful. He didn't attack the equation. He listened to it. Within moments, the structure changed shape under his hands, like a locked door revealing the hidden key, a pivot, a symmetry, a reframe. He stopped. The board was quiet. So was the room. Professor Graves broke the silence. Correct. And original, Dr. Fields added, and accessible. That matters. Whitfield stared, wounded pride wrestling with undeniable truth. Finally, with a tight jaw, he gave the smallest nod. Well done. The room clapped, hesitant first, then swelling like rising tide. Elliot didn't bow. He just smiled politely. Respect earned through calm brilliance lasts longer than applause chased through noise. Real-time challenge. Suddenly, a facilities tech hurried in breathless. There's pressure drift again in the East Main, he whispered. Sensors aren't matching. The audience stiffened. Was the heat about to fail again? Jasmine pulled up the model. Elliot fed live data into it. Graphs flared, not panic on a precision. This isn't a leak, Elliot said. It's harmonic sensor drift. Meaning? Someone asked. Meaning the system is fine. The reading isn't, he typed. Adjust reporting damping to 0.78. The error collapses. The graph stabilized. Sensors aligned. Heat continued. And the room, professors, janitors, students, the dean, saw math protect people in real time. Not theory. Not ego. Service. The applause this time wasn't polite. It was human. The turning after the session, Elliot stepped down. Students swarmed. Reporters asked for quotes. Facilities shook his hand like he was part of their team. One